Well, in many ways, I feel like Tyler Hero became a huge celebrity last night for anybody who was watching the game. I watched Tyler Hero play a lot at the University of Kentucky. I never would have believed that as a rookie he would take over a basketball game like he did last night. But 2020 has been a wacky year, and Tyler Hero turning into a basketball star in the space of a playoff series that nobody really foresaw coming on behalf of the Miami Heat is pretty wild. So if you watch basketball last night, the Miami Heat moved to a one game from advancing to the NBA Finals and squarely put even more pressure on the Lakers to advance to the NBA Finals, or else Adam Silver, as I said yesterday talking to Chris Mannix, is going to have to wrap himself in chicken cutlets and walk into a lake and allow himself to be devoured by alligators, because a Miami Heat versus Denver Nuggets NBA Finals going head-to-head with all of the college football and the NFL that you can possibly imagine would be the lowest rated and least watched NBA basketball finals of our lives, most of us. Already, the NBA is tanking because they have embraced far left-wing politics, and the American sports public is rejecting them in spades. I was looking at the data last night as I was watching this game. People say, well, why do you watch the NBA if you point out the negativity? Well, my job is to watch pretty much all sports, so I can talk about it with you. That doesn't mean that I also recognize when a sport is basically destroying itself right before our very eyes. And this is pretty wild. I've never seen numbers this low for LeBron James. Only 4.8 million people in the entire nation watched the Lakers series, the most recent game 3 against the Nuggets on Tuesday night. 4.8 million people. Putting that into perspective, that is 40% less than watched the NBA last year in the same game, Western Conference Finals, between the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trailblazers. People are abandoning the NBA in record numbers. And most people in the media aren't going to talk about it because they are far left-wing in sports media. And since everything has become political, it's like people won't even discuss facts that make them uncomfortable. And one of the reasons things have lost their minds is because most people in my industry won't call out basic dishonesty. And I'll give you an example last night. Last night I'm watching the NBA Finals. And there's also, for those of you who are listening right now, I think we have a lot of people up early in Louisville, Kentucky listening to us. There's also a decision rendered by the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case. And the decision rendered by the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case upset a lot of people. And so there were 2 Louisville police officers that were shot last night. And this ties in with what we're seeing all over the country. And we talked about this because Outkick has offered up $10,000 for the capture of this guy. But we saw 2 LA police officers just shot in cold blood sitting in their cars, and a celebration by many people ensued in the city of Los Angeles. And LeBron James was directly asked about that shooting. And LeBron James, who has opinions on everything under the sun, said yesterday no comment when he was asked about the shooting of 2 LA police officers. No comment. LeBron James didn't say, hey, I think we need to catch the guy who shot those 2 police officers and bring him to justice. He didn't say that. He didn't say, hey, I'm rapidly advancing on being a billionaire. I'd like to put my money where my mouth is and point out to everyone in America, if they're fans of me, that there's no way to justify shooting a police officer, no matter how angry you might be about things in the United States today. He didn't say any of that. He said no comment. And this is important because I think right now the data is really telling us that athletes are making America worse. They're making it more dangerous for police officers. They are making it more dangerous for people in inner cities. They are making every citizen and police officer situation and interaction more freighted with danger than it otherwise would be. And the data reflects that I'm 100% true in all this. Most people in the media won't tell you that shootings have skyrocketed all over this country, that murder has skyrocketed all over this country, that the cities where Black Lives Matter protesters are the most active are seeing the largest increase in shootings and death, and that the people who are actually dying are very often black. It's an unbelievable hypocrisy that we are living in a world where sports figures and sports media members want to praise athletes for standing up on their platform instead of pointing out that the single most positive thing any athlete in America could do and could say is respect police. And yet almost no one will say it. It's not brave to say what Colin Kaepernick said yesterday and what ESPN propagandized on his behalf. Colin Kaepernick went on Twitter and said, the white supremacist institution of policing that stole Breonna Taylor's life from us must be abolished for the safety and well-being of our people. Hashtag abolish the police. No one with a functional brain actually wants to abolish the police. Colin Kaepernick is an imbecile. He is entitled to his opinion because he's fortunate enough to live in the United States of America. But the idea that ESPN would share his opinion with tens of millions of people who follow their account and would spread it out to the masses is an embarrassment, it is shameful, and it's directly related to why police officers are being shot across this country. A grand jury in Louisville considered all of the evidence in this case and determined that there was not a crime committed. The Attorney General of Kentucky is a black man. Do you think that he wants for there to be murders of minorities on his watch? The truth of the matter is Breonna Taylor's boyfriend shot a police officer before any return fire occurred. When you shoot a police officer, when you resist arrest from a police officer, you are creating scenarios that don't end well. And I am so fired up with the stupidity that I see every single day on social media. And I am so fired up over the stupidity that I see from people in my sports media industry and also from all of the athletes out there who barely spend 5 minutes educating themselves on any issue and then spend a huge amount of time demagoguing on an issue that is so divisive that they don't understand, that they haven't researched the basic facts of. Divisiveness is at a record high in my life in this country, and much of it is rooted in lack of understanding of almost every single story that's out there. I keep hammering this home because I think it's so important that everybody out there pay attention to the idea that whatever viral video you see on social media, there is a viral video that shows the exact opposite somewhere else. Allowing your emotions to be determined by what you see on social media is a pathway to disaster. Facts matter, and they matter an immense amount. And very few people actually are taking the time to spend any time to know what the facts truly are in most cases. People just want to get angry. They want to get emotional. They want to share their story, and they want to get likes and retweets, even if there's no basis in reality at all. And sports are directly leading to the death of hundreds, if not thousands of people that would otherwise be alive. And they're leading directly to far more people being shot all over this country. The most impactful and important thing any athlete could say right now is respect the police. That's what I tell my kids. Respect the police. It's a crazy idea that that's considered to be something that most people won't even say. LeBron James wouldn't even say shooting two police officers execution style effectively, ambushing them in LA is wrong. He wouldn't say that. LeBron James, who has an opinion on everything under the sun. LeBron James, who was upset where Aunt Becky was going to prison, was directly asked about two LA police officers being shot, and he said, no comment. And most people in the media aren't even going to cover that no comment because they treat LeBron James like he is the most brilliant politician in the history of mankind. And every time he says something stupid like this, most people look the other way. The best thing that anybody can say is respect the police. What I tell my kids. I have 3 of them, 12, 10, and 6. I say, hey, you know what? Your dad's a lawyer. I know what is permissible. I know what is impermissible. I know how the Constitution works. I know what rights you have. But you know what? If a police officer tells you to do it, you shut up and you do it. You don't talk back to him. You don't feud with him. You don't fight with him, certainly. You don't run. You respect the police. If a police officer misbehaves, then eventually the court system, I 100 billion% believe this, will hold them to justice. But you can't hold somebody to justice if you're not there yourself because you got into a confrontation with police. You know, if you go look at every viral video, every single one of them, do you know what they almost all have in common? If somebody hadn't resisted police, they'd still be alive today. That's it. Every single person just about who's in a viral video, if they had just not resisted police, they would be alive today. And the fact that athletes won't say that, the fact that sports leagues won't say that, the fact that team owners won't say that is why I think so many people out there are picking up their remote and turning off games because they see the hypocrisy, they look at the data, and they recognize that far from using their platforms to make America a better place, athletes right now are using their platforms to make America a worse place.